Hi there, Chloe and Sophie from the mix. Just want to welcome you today to One College, and I know that you're going to be talking to us about goals and aspirations, which is so key for our students. So thank you again, and I'll pass over to you guys then. Okay.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So yes, we are Chloe and Sophie, and we're from the Mix in Stowmarket. So for anyone that doesn't know what the Mix is, it's a youth charity. So we support a range of young people through lots of different projects. So you might have heard of our drop-ins or heard a bit about the studio that we have at the Mix, or all sorts of stuff that we've had running over the past years. So myself and Sophie, we work on a particular project called the Together Project, which is all about supporting young people aged 15 to 24 into work, education or training. It's a great project. There's no restrictions or thresholds that anyone has to meet to get support from us. So we support for a number of ways. I think Sophie's going to pop on. Hey, there we go. Look at that. So seamless. So we have lots of things on offer. If you sign up to our program, we do a lot of one-to-one coaching. That tends to be the starting point. And we do a lot of goal setting with people. We do group sessions. We have a range of business partners as well that we work with to get people work experience and volunteering and that sort of thing. And we also have a job squad every Wednesday, 4 till 6, where you can drop in and get some support with anything work related. So today we're going to talk to you a little bit about goals and aspirations. And I think to start with, I've got a little survey. So if anyone's about and wants to just answer the questions, I'm just going to pop that into the chat because that will just give us a feel of who we've got today and where people's heads are and what you've got planned. It's very short. It's like 3 questions and one of them is about crisps. So please do feel free to fill that out and I'll have a look at it as we go. But let's start with, so can you just pop on to the next? So one of the key messages you'll get from today will be not to panic. You're all at the end of your kind of school life and that can feel quite stressful. Myself and Sophie have been there. I mean, everyone has. So one thing we're really going to try and get across to you today is please just chill. It's fine. So what we did to kind of show this as well is we did a survey and we asked 38 people from the Mix, lots of our members of staff and also volunteers, and also Beckett's, which is a financial company that we partner with because they've got a really good kind of young work base. And we asked them basically, when you were 16, did you imagine that you would be where you are now, career-wise? I mean, please feel free to pop in the chat how many you think said yes out of 38. If anyone wants to pop in the chat. I mean, Soph, how many would you have guessed at this point?
I think it's nice to think that people are where they wanted to be without taking what my personal story is into account. So I know the answer, but I think I would have put I think I would have put like at least 10.
10. Oh, 4. We got 4. Interesting. 10, 4.
And that's me being hopeful, I think.
Yeah, clearly very hopeful. 4 is a good guess, actually. Very good guess. So if no one else is going to pop something in the chat. So will you turn over? And lovely. 2 out of 38 knew what they wanted to do and are in the career they thought they'd be. So if you can pop onto the next slide, Sophie. Most of the answers actually looked like this, and I've kind of gone for quite a lot of them because I really enjoy how adamant most people are. There's capital letters. There's my particular favourite is ha, no, and particularly pessimistic, certainly not. I didn't think I would own my own car, house, etc. So really, out of these 38 people, 36 of them did not end up in anything like they thought they would. Sophie, could you just pop to the next slide? So here's some other interesting ones. I won't go through all of them, but there's things like not at all. I had a totally different plan to work in wildlife conservation, and that was from our HR manager. Quite different, I think you'll agree. And then there was quite a few that were like not at all. I started work at 16 with very few qualifications as an office junior, mostly making tea and posting letters, and then they ended up owning and managing their own children's holiday centre. So And you can see Sophie's on there. Nope, I wanted to be a midwife, and she ended up as a youth worker. Great.
Definitely not a midwife.
So really, like, I think when we get to 18, we think, oh my God, I've not got a plan. That's the end of the world. Basically, let's not do anything because I haven't got a plan. And in reality, for most people, it will be that they kind of end up in something completely unexpected. And one of the answers on here, which I think is really, really impactful, is no, I didn't even know such a thing existed. And that was from one of our school wellbeing practitioners. I didn't know my job existed when I was 18. And actually, say 100 years ago, you could have listed all the jobs in the country on 2 sides of A4. Now there are so many jobs out there. And in fact, I actually think my job existed, or that's not a word, was created when I was starting work. So yeah, there's loads of jobs out there. So please do not panic if you don't think you know what you want to do, because actually you'll learn as you go. Soph, could you pass on to the next?
Our next question.
Brilliant. So we then asked, roughly how many jobs have you had since you were 16? So in terms of an age range, just to give you a bit of a heads up on this one, we are looking at an average of 30. So if you want to pop in the chat, please, how many jobs do you think you would have by the age of 30? Or do you expect to have had by the age of 30? So I'll just give you a couple of minutes. I'm going to check in on my survey, see if we've got any answers. People writing in chat, great stuff. 10, good guess, good guess. 6, 10, 6, not bad. So Sophie, could you tell us how many jobs on average people have?
Average 9.
9 jobs by the age of 30, and that's not that old. So to put that into some context, next slide, please. So thank you. So for example, I am 26 and I have had 11 different paid jobs already. You can actually see my journey. I'm quite satisfied by how this looks as well, which is great. So when I was 16, I was a cleaner whilst I was at school. That was a really good job, actually. So yeah, quite pleased with that. And then I went to university and I was bar staff. And then I had various kind of sort of part-time roles, one as a catering assistant, one as a residential support assistant. I've done some poll clerking. And then I landed a job in the Mix, but in their cafe as a coffee shop assistant, because I obviously had quite a lot of kind of catering experience. Whilst I was at the Mix as a coffee shop assistant, I kind of had an interest in drama. So I went and got a job as a youth theatre assistant with Theatre Royal in Bury. From that, I became a youth theatre leader. And then I did those alongside each other. So it's really messy, not clear and linear at all. And then whilst I was at the coffee shop in the Mix, I then got a job at the Mix, but as a partnership coordinator, which then changed to youth worker as well as partnership coordinator. And then I managed to bring all my drama stuff to the Mix as well. So I've got that role now as well. And actually, this is slightly outdated because my role has changed again and I now am a project lead at the Mix. So as you can see, from a 26-year-old, the journey is not straightforward. But I think the key thing with this, and the reason I've put it the way I have, is that actually one thing for me has led to another. So one opportunity often has this habit of opening up to another one. So because I got a job as a coffee shop assistant at the Mix, I started to get to know the staff, I started to get to know who the Mix were, and that's how I then got my job as a partnership coordinator at the Mix, which is then where I led on to youth work, blah, 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 and then they've trained me up. So really what I'm trying to get across to you here is that it's really okay just to do a job. It doesn't have to be the job you want in 16 years' time, but more than likely is that it will lead on to something else. And if it doesn't, it will give you some experience to be able to use somewhere else. So I don't know that I'd be in my job now if I hadn't done all that catering experience before, because I might not have got my job in the coffee shop and then I might not have got my job at the Mix. And the other thing to kind of point out as well, whilst I'm on talking about myself, I love talking about myself, is that when one door closes, another one really opens. So just to give you a little story before I hand over to Sophie, because you're probably bored of my voice by now, is that when I was at the coffee shop and I was really desperate to get into drama, I went for a role as a youth theatre assistant, and I got the interview, and it was a huge interview. I had to do lots of different bits, and I thought, oh, this has gone really well. This is great. And I got rejected, and I was absolutely floored. I was gutted by it. And then the feedback I got was that I didn't have enough experience, and I was like, okay, that's fair. But I emailed them back and said, how can I get some experience? Could I do some work for you guys? And they said, oh, sorry, we can't take you on to do any of that. So I was stuck in this place of I've got no experience, but I can't get any experience. What am I going to do? So once I got over it, I took that away, and I went and applied for another youth theatre assistant job with another company. And because of what I'd learned in that interview about not having experience, I literally said in my interview, look, I don't have experience, but I want to learn. This is a passion of mine and I want to do it. And I really am a quick learner and I'm keen, blah, 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 all the great stuff you say in an interview. And actually, because of that, I got this job as a youth theatre assistant because of what I'd learnt from that first interview about just being honest with them and just saying, laying all my cards on the table and saying, look, this is where I'm at. The reason they took me on, they told me later, was because I was honest and I was keen and I was passionate. And I'd literally said that I don't have this experience, but I want it. So really that door closing led to the other door. So yeah. So I'm not sure what we've got on the next slide.
So there is one more question.
Oh, there we go. Great.
Do you want to ask this one, or do you want me to do it?
You can go for it, Sophie.
So yeah, one of the questions we also asked this group was, have you made a career change, and if so, how many? So again, just going back to the idea that the first job you do doesn't have to be the only job that you do, and it might be that you stay in something for a little while, progress through, and then decide you want to change completely. So I can't actually see the chat, Chloe, so you will have to just keep an eye on this. But any guesses as to how many career changes people have had? Pop your number guess in the chat and we'll see what comes up.
Cool, 8 and 3.
Okay.
Ooh.
For a few seconds, see if anyone else wants to pop a number in. And then I'll tell you what the answer was from our. We'll go for it. So the answer we got was on average 2. So our CEO at the Mix said he's made around 3 career changes and he's had 9 different jobs. Our school wellbeing practitioner said at uni I studied broadcast journalism, but afterwards decided that wasn't for me. I tried a corporate job, but that also wasn't me. And I eventually took an opportunity to work with young people and haven't looked back. I love it. He's actually had another career change because he's now our youth work director. So he's going up in the world even more in terms of youth work. But had you have asked him at university whether that's what he'd be doing, I'm not sure that would have been his answer. But it just shows that people of completely different ages and completely different backgrounds, just because the first thing you go into or something that you study is at the time what you want, doesn't mean it's always going to be that way, and that's okay. Because every journey is completely unique. So Chloe shared a bit about her story. I've just quickly counted up mine in terms of jobs that I've had. And when I was, I think, like 15, I started working sort of waitressing. And then I started working at a restaurant after that. So I sort of did a pub waitressing and then restaurant waitressing. And during that time, I was actually studying myself at Suffolk One. And I wanted to be a midwife. That's what I wanted to be since I was in high school. And I'll be honest, I really struggled with one of my subjects, which I studied human biology. Absolutely loved it, did really well at sort of coursework and things like that. But when it came to exams, generally, I really struggled. I struggled to maintain the information and get the answers right and get exactly what needed to go into the answers to sort of maximize my points, and it just wasn't happening for me. All my free periods I was going and studying more human biology and going extra tutoring and support, and I just couldn't get it. And I had to decide, what route do I go down now? Where do I go? Because this isn't working for me. And so I ended up deciding that after sixth form I was going to take a bit of a break and start working. I knew I wanted to work with people, but wasn't quite sure how. At the time, I voluntarily did youth work, but I wasn't really sure that that's what I wanted to do then and there. So I started to work for a spa in Woodbridge. So people go to the gym, come and have a nice massage, have a lovely spa day. I was the face that you saw at reception. I then got promoted and started to commute to Norwich and work in a spa there where I was a duty manager. And I did that all in all for 4 years. And then I decided I don't want to do this anymore. And this is not how I see life going. This is not using my skills to my very best. And so I quit work with no job to go to. And this is the whole point Chloe said about doors opening. Because what I did was took some time for myself, started working similar to Chloe in the coffee shop at the Mix, took on some shifts, and from there started working on front of house at the Mix, again being sort of the face people saw, covering evenings, that sort of thing. Then I took an opportunity to work in our alternative provision. So high school students can be sent to us for a few days a week to get support, whether that's with struggling in school and school just not being for them, or whether that's with maths and English. So I did that for a little while. Then I took on a youth work role in the Together project, which is where Chloe and I mainly come from. And then from there, I've become lead youth worker. I'm also the safeguarding lead for the Mix, and I currently work in schools as well. And over the next couple of months, we'll be taking on a project lead role. So you can see that my journey is completely up and down. I've learned so much from all the different places that I've worked, but it's been really, really different. And I had to decide like where I needed to go at that point. And sometimes it means taking a little break to work that out. You don't have to find something immediately straight away, and having sort of stop gaps is absolutely fine. In order to sometimes work out what our goals are and what our journey needs to look like, I'm a list person. I think Chloe's a list person as well. We quite like to have steps. You will quite often see that in my little notebook that I keep next to me when I'm working, I just have things that I tick off. Sometimes I add them once I've done them just to tick them off. It's that sort of fulfillment that I get by having steps in my day to follow. And that works the same with goals. Goals aren't always for jobs. So one of the things that we do is help young people with their next steps. And that could be into work, education, training, but actually it could be things that are outside of that as well. Goals aren't always for work, they aren't always for jobs, but they're often really, really linked. And so if we were to think of a goal that you might have for your age group at Suffolk One, it might be that you're wanting to learn to drive. It might be that you're learning to drive and actually you want to think about getting a car. This isn't for everyone, but quite often at your age, I remember living out on the sticks, all I wanted to do was drive so I could get places and not rely on Suffolk public transport. But what I had to do was think about step by step, how am I going to get there? And not just, well, right now I'm learning to drive and my goal is that I want to be driving a car and it be mine, but what's all the little things in between? So it might be that starting off, your number one here needs to be that you need to find some driving lessons. You need to find an instructor. You need to find someone that's in your budget. Does that even move down a few steps? Because you need to look at how much money that you have. Do you earn money? In which case, do you need to find a part-time job or be doing and helping family and friends and earning a bit of money from that and doing chores and things like that for them to earn that money to start your lessons? Once you've started your lessons, that's maybe your earlier goal, your first little goal, and then your midterm goal would be that you need to then start earning and saving up for the next thing, which would be possibly a car, might be a moped, for those that are looking down that route. But how can we break it down so that you're looking at what have you got now, who can help you, and what's my first next step? So I'll go through that again. What have I got now? So that would be breaking that down, money in the bank, people that you know, so who can help me, parents, carers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends. Actually, one of the people that was my friends earlier when I was learning to drive, they were the ones that actually told me about the instructor. I knew they were good because they'd used them. So it's those sorts of things. in terms of what have you got now? Are you someone with an older sibling or a relative that's got a car that is up for sale or that you might be able to use? All these sorts of things are part of the steps that help us towards our goals. So they can be short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. And it's really important to know that those goal boundaries as such are going to change. The goalposts are going to move. You could have something happen that actually means that you want to focus on something else first. Maybe you then decide that actually you're going to go to university, so you don't need a car just yet. So the goal becomes a bit more of a long-term goal because going to uni is the next thing for you. Could be that you're getting a job. It could be that you're starting an apprenticeship. The goals are going to change, but as long as you know how far you are and the steps that you're going to get towards them will really help when it comes to achieving the goals. And like I said, they're often linked. So if we're looking to save up for something and we're not earning, one of the things that we might need to look at is part-time work, which is something that we help young people with all the time. One of the other questions that we asked on our survey is, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self? So we can spout as much as we like about steps, jobs that we've had, what other people have said, but ultimately it's down to you guys. It's down to what you want and what you're looking to do and what you feel your skills are. And so we asked everyone who did that survey, what advice would they give? So we've got a couple of pages with their examples. Some of these might not hit your spot at all. Some of them might not resonate in the slightest. A lot of them we find are really important. To just do your best. Stop worrying. Don't be afraid. That's a huge one. Don't be afraid of what's going to happen. Don't put so much fear in the future that you don't enjoy it. Believe in yourself. Life will find a way. Prove other people wrong. That's one that sort of sat with me a little bit. Workplaces I've had in the past haven't always been brilliant. And actually, what would they think of me now doing what I do? Speaking to all you lot. That wouldn't have been the Sophie who was sort of 18 to 20 working for them. I wouldn't have dared do this. I wouldn't have been brave enough to do it. Believe in yourself, work hard, take on any challenge offered to you. And lastly, prove them wrong. Shall I look at the next one? Chloe, do you want to say any of this one?
Yeah, go for it. So yeah, basically what we kind of have found is that actually when you get a bit older, it's like, why did I worry so much? Things do have a natural way of working it out. Just to go back to our survey that we've done at the start, generally this is incredibly positive as well. People have said, there's a couple that have said they're not sure what they're doing, which is cool. Obviously, hopefully some of this resonates with you to make you kind of feel a bit calmer, but we're here if you need any more. Also, I asked about cheese and onion crisps because I tend to ask every group that I work with about this, and I have had incredibly positive responses from this as well, in that they are all fans. Once I had a group that pretty much told me they should be illegal, so I'm quite impressed with the response and how positive you all are. And your feelings around the future tend to be quite positive as well, which is great because this is pretty much what this page is saying, is that just follow what you love. And I think I would agree with that. I went to uni because I loved my subject and I really enjoyed it. And then the next thing I did was because I enjoyed it. And I think that really helps you on your way. Don't get so stressed about, okay, I need to do this, this and this to get there. But actually, okay, well, I enjoy this. So how will I get here first? So the next one, please, Sophie. And yeah, again, some really nice inspirational stuff for you guys to look at in your own time. But yeah, you basically, you have so much potential, and you will be fine. And pretty much everyone out of that 38 were like, I wish I'd have relaxed more, or I wish I'd have believed in myself more, because it actually turned out all right. And then I don't know if we've got another slide, have we, Sophie?
I think that's all three on that.
Fabulous. So just to kind of round up on what we said, I highly recommend, if anyone hasn't, please read Michelle Obama's autobiography, because it is fantastic. And actually on the very first page, she'll say that she gets kind of frustrated when people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if like that's kind of finite, or it's that one thing that you want to be. Like, I want to be an astronaut and that's it. I think when I was younger, I wanted to be a ballet dancer. That definitely hasn't happened, because actually it's constantly moving. And if you get to 24 and think, actually, this isn't for me, I want to do something else, you can do that. You can retrain, you can go on courses, you can do whatever you like. So it's just finding out, what do you want to do right now? Not what you want to do in 10 years' time, not all the time. So we're going to open the floor to questions if anyone's got any questions or anyone wants to chat to us, and then we'll give you our contact details. So if anyone's got any questions, you can pop them in the chat or raise your hand. Very happy to take a hand raise. We've got one coming. I always love this question waiting bit. Job Squad, yes, great. That's a great question, Louise. So Job Squad is something we run on Wednesdays, 4 till 6 at the Mix. We aren't running it next week for half term, but it will be back the week after. And basically, the idea is that it's a drop-in kind of style where you can literally bring whatever problem is kind of on your horizon, whether that's you need to do an application or you need to get a CV done or you'd like some support with an interview that's coming up, and we'll just be there as much as you need. We've got access to laptops, you can bring your own devices, and there'll be a couple of youth workers there to kind of work with you. So the idea is it's drop-in, but because of COVID, at the moment you have to book a place. So you just have to say what time you're coming so that we can make sure it's all COVID safe. And you can do that by just emailing us at together@themixstonemarket.co.uk, which I think is on the next slide.
Oh, just like that.
Yay, there we go. And you can just let us know you're coming along, and yeah, you just have to sign up for test and trace. But other than that, it's pretty flexible. Any other questions at all? Hopefully that answered it. Okay, one more question coming. What's the best part about working with young people? Well, I know Sophie T will have a great answer to that. Go on, Soph.
Oh, will I? What's the best part? I think it's the unexpected conversations. I think that'll make Chloe laugh, because sometimes they can be really difficult conversations, but sometimes they can be absolutely amazing. And sort of it makes all the hard work worth it when they turn around and they've recognised for themselves that they can do something, that they're worth it. I think one of the biggest things that I try and support young people with is just seeing their worth and how important and appreciated they are. So when they start to realise that for themselves, that's some real magic.
That's a good answer. So for me, it's how creative and imaginative young people are. I just, as a kind of creative myself, I do obviously drama workshops and things. They're just so good. Honestly, they're uninhibited. Young people are uninhibited in a way that adults are. I think that made sense. But yeah, they're the most, you guys are unbelievably creative and have incredible potential. And it's so nice seeing someone's confidence grow just by being told that. So yeah, that's probably my favourite thing, is their creativity. Any other questions at all before we wrap up?
I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Fantastic. Cool. So thank you so much for joining us, and if you're listening to it obviously later, thank you for listening. We are absolutely here to support anyone that needs any support. So if you do need anything at all, you can just email us at together@themixstonemarket.co.uk, and we can kind of help you from there. We do all sorts of stuff, so even if it's not Together that can help you, I'm sure we can get someone else to help you. Someone is typing, so I don't know if the question's going to come.
So I think, I think all the thank yous will be coming through, but it's been a really fantastic session, and it's been so interesting to hear that amazing survey that you've done, and how people's all their experiences count, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Everything that people do, and then that changes people's direction, and it's very sort of reassuring as well. mean, because I think a lot of young people have, like, you know, made decisions sometimes and it doesn't work out how they want. So it's just like really nice to hear you talking about that, you know, to reassure people about finding their way through and, you know, like, you know, experiences changing things, you know. That's great. Thank you very much. It's really, really
well.
brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, guys. It's really great and a great resource for us as well to have from you guys. Thank you so much. Okay.
No
Cheers then.
problem.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.